Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from All Saints Orthodox Church, Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. I want to talk today, continuing on this theme of the saints who loved and cared for the poor and the needy. I want to talk to you about Saint Philaret, the almsgiver. He's one of my favorites. You'll come to love him too if you don't know him already. It's kind of funny because there are these stories often in saints' stories where you have these dynamics between a husband and a wife that provide for really interesting hagiography. Saint Philaret is a great example of this. He was a good Christian man, married to a good Christian woman. He was a very wealthy dignitary. He had lots of money. He had a big estate and all sorts of things. But he had this great love for the poor, this respect for the poor. He wanted to help them, and he knew that when he helped the least of these, that he was helping Christ himself. So he made this his life's passion, as it were. So he was always giving things away, and he was very happy doing this. But at one point, there was a group of Muslim raiders who came to his property, and they sacked his property, and they stole his possessions, and they took almost all of his livestock and everything they could find. And then they left, and here he was left now with this relatively empty house, and a cow and her calf, as well as a donkey and a cart, and there just wasn't much left. So St. Philaret, though, decided that, of course, he wasn't going to change his way of life. He wanted to continue to give, even though he didn't have much left to give. Well, this is where it gets interesting with his wife, because his wife, of course, even though she seems to be a good Christian woman, she is upset now that he is giving things away when they have almost nothing left. So it provides for really good stories. One of the good ones is, at one point he gives away the calf. A neighbor comes, and the neighbors knew that no matter what they needed, if they asked St. Philaret, that he would give it to them. Sometimes he gave them more than they asked for. So it happened that this neighbor came and asked him for his calf. And he said, "Of course, my brother, take the calf, go, be joyful." So this neighbor took the calf. But then, of course, what happened was the cow, the mother of the calf, was sad. So she was just wailing. She was wailing all night long, and she was miserable and sad and missed her calf. And so St. Philaret's wife came to him, and she couldn't stand the sound of the cow crying. So she says, "Philaret, don't you care about this poor cow? How could you give her calf away? How could you do this?" And so he said, "Bless you, my dear wife." He says, "Of course, I'm so thankful that you said that." So he went and he got the cow, and he brought it to the neighbor's house and gave the neighbor the cow too. So in this way, the cow and her calf were reunited. There was another time when St. Philaret went and got 6 bushels of, what was it? Bushels of, I forget what the stuff is called. You make bread out of it. Flour, barley, I don't know. It was something like that. Anyway, he had 6 bushels, and they were on this cart being pulled by the donkey. And so the cart pulls up to the house, and one of the neighbors, of course, comes over and says, "Hey, Philaret, how are you doing?" And Philaret says, "Wonderful. My brother, here, take 2 of our bushels." And his wife looks and his wife can't believe he just gave away 1/3 of what they had brought home. And so she says to him, "Oh, Philaret," she's being sarcastic, mind you. "Oh, Philaret, why don't you give him 1 more bushel so he has half of what we got?" And so Philaret says, "Of course, honey." And so he goes and gets the bushel and gives it to this neighbor. And then that's 3. And so then she says, "Oh, Philaret," she says, "I can't believe you just didn't give him all of it. My goodness, you're holding back." Again, sarcasm. Philaret gets the other 3 bushels and gives them to the guy. So the wife at this point is just beyond. She just cannot imagine he just gave away all of the food that they brought home. Barley. It's barley. That's what it was. Thank you for your patience with me. So she says, "Philaret," she says, "how is he supposed to carry these things home? He doesn't even have a bag for them." So Philaret gives him the bag. And then she says, "He can't haul that bag. 6, it's too much. He can't carry that." And so he says, "Of course." So Philaret gives the neighbor the donkey with the cart and says, "Please, my brother, go in peace." Well, this went on until they had basically nothing left. But it just so happened that about that time, an old friend of Philaret's came and brought him 50 bushels of barley. So God provided for him and for his wife. And in that particular case, by the way, his wife took a whole bunch of it and stored it away for her and the 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son, and then let Philaret have a portion of it, and then he gave his away. Anyway, so it just so happened then at this time that the Empress Irene was looking for a wife for her son Constantine. And so she sent out emissaries into the land, and they went everywhere looking for all of the eligible brides, and they came to Philaret's house, and Philaret, although they had almost nothing, laid out a feast, a very simple feast, and invited the emissaries into the house. Well, when the emissaries took a look at Philaret's granddaughter, they knew this was the woman for Constantine. And so the marriage was arranged. Philaret's granddaughter married Constantine, and Philaret then was basically, if I can use some modern terminology, he was set for life. He was now a relative of the imperial court, so he was gifted with incredible amounts of wealth, anything he could possibly want or use, kind of beyond that. So again, now he was gifted to spend the rest of his days caring for the poor, giving them coins of gold and silver and copper, taking care of everybody. It was wonderful until the time of his repose, when he fell asleep in the Lord. And at that point, this is very cool, at that point we're told that his wife took the rest of their fortune and spent the rest of her life going around the empire and restoring monasteries that had been sacked by invaders. Very cool story. Saint Philaret the almsgiver, pray unto God for us. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.